So as you can see that I'm back on the beach, and today's weather is much nicer and much milder compared to, well, the other day. Holy smoke, man, this is windy today. So it's good, it's good. So I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about ArtraLab's brand new 35mm similar lens for Leica M mount cameras. Well, I don't have the Leica and the ArtraLab Similar 35mm 1.4 here with me at this moment in time, but as you know, Leica and sand and beach don't mix well. Even though that my Leica M is weather sealed, but the lens isn't. But overall, I just would not take the Leica to the beach, for instance, because any sort of sand particle get inside the camera, the sensor, the mechanical part, you're practically done. So yeah, I'm not gonna risk that for that. But I'm gonna talk to you guys about my shooting experience, about the similar lens from ArtraLab, how I feel about it, and also the overall comparison between the similar and also the Summilux from Leica. So first of all, I would like to talk about the design and also the handling of the ArtraLab Similar 35mm f1.4M. Well, I would like to stress that this lens is paying tribute and homage to the Leica's original and legendary 35mm Summilux steel rim versions back in the 60s. So what does that tell me? Well, first of all, I don't personally own the steel rim version. No, I don't have one, but I have handled one before. But I do have the later version, which is optically identical, the pre-aspherical Summilux versions that I still have it on my M6 to date. And I love that lens to bits because it has the old vintage character, and it has this very small form factor for a 35mm f1.4, which is what the similar lens is. Very much the same as the original steel rim version in terms of dimension and the handling side of it. And to be quite honest, from a distance, you'll be hard pressed to tell the difference between the two. You have to really inspect closely to the text on the actual lens itself, and also handling it by touching the focusing tab, because that's where you can see the difference or feel the difference more precisely. So the overall handling experience on the ArtraLab Similar 35mm 1.4 is excellent. It's basically the same as the Leica Summilux 35 that I had in my Leica M6. But I haven't shot with that lens for about 3 to 4 years now, because I haven't shot with film for quite a while, so I kind of forgotten how it felt before. And but in this trip, it really kind of brought back all the good old memories. And even on my digital M, it's a little bit heavier, but because the lens is still quite compact and small and light, it makes the whole shooting experience in Malaga so much more enjoyable and easy to use. And I find the focusing tab is very easy to turn. It's a little bit long throw, just like the original. It's not as quick, as short as the more modern Leica lenses, but it's fine by me, because most of the time I just use hyperfocus anyway, stop it down to, the lens down to f8 to f11, and so overall I would say it's really good. But what I would have to say is that the aperture ring is very clicky, very precise. It has a good resistance to it, which I like about, because my Summilux Leica is quite loose by comparison, maybe because my lens is a lot older and also, yeah, quite well used. So this lens is, yeah, it's new, so it may be because of that, but overall I do think the aperture ring is has that very nice and decisive click that I really enjoy using on my Leica M. Let me clarify. If you are looking for something very sharp, very modern, very clinical, you'll be left a little bit disappointed. However, if you are into vintage Leica photography and you've handled and used some of the Leica legacy lenses, you'll be very happy with ArtraLab Similar 35-1.4, because it's all about characters. It's all about that vintage draw from the lens. When you stop down, you do get some sharp images, but when you open up to 1.4 and f2, even to 2.8, you are going to get some very filmic results. So here are some of my test shots in Malaga, and let me know what you think about them. So there isn't any point to do any brick wall test to show exactly how sharp the lens is and things like that. No, the Similar lens, just like the original Summilux, is all about the rendering of it. And already showed you, it's really good. It's very vintage, very filmic, very soft, but you do lack the original kind of faint Leica glow that you get when you shoot it wide open 1.4. You don't get that. Once you stop it down to f5.6 to 6.3, even f8, you get the sort of similar sort of high contrast, sharp result that you may remember in some of the vintage Leica photography. So overall, I think the rendering is top notch. It's very good. You just don't have the same glow effect that you get from the original Leica Summilux lens. So another thing I'd like to highlight is the vignetting of the ArtraLab Similar 35-1.4. It's pretty heavy between 1.4 to 2.8. You're definitely going to see that, and you need to correct it in post if you're worried about it. Sometimes I don't mind a little bit of vignette because it does give you that effect that I'm going out for sometimes. And you do street portrait, for instance, you do like a little bit of a dark corner just to kind of bring a little bit of focus to the central subject portion of it. So that is okay for me personally. But if you're worried about that, you may want to correct that. But overall, I would say that it's not better than the original, certainly not worse in terms of vignetting. But one thing it is worse than the original is the distortion side of it, because the original Summilux is really nice. Everything nice and straight, you know, everywhere. You don't have to correct the distortion. But the Similar does have a little bit of barrel distortion. Yeah, it's not severe, but it's noticeable. So you may want to spend a little bit of time to work out what sort of proportion you may need to correct in post-production time. So it's something you need to bear in mind. But there is one thing that I think it performs better than the original Summilux is chromatic aberration. Yep, that's the thing I think is performed way better than the original, because the original does have a little bit of it, and the Similar lens, however, has none. Well, at least from what I can tell anyway. I mean, I got pretty strong sun in Malaga, and every time I shoot in high contrast scenarios, I didn't see any purple fringings. In a Leica, it's almost invisible. So that is very, very impressive. And to me, you know, compared to the size and also the price of the lens, you know, I think the Similar is really, really great. And finally, not very important, but if you guys are interested in looking at the bokeh ball of the Similar lens, is, well, it's a little bit different to the original Leica Summilux bokeh ball. I would say it's a little bit different, yet very vintage still, because you have that kind of onion ring balls that you still have like the original. Just a little bit more prominent, a little bit more obvious compared to the original, but you still get that. So like I said, overall rendering is on the vintage side. You know, if you're looking at something more modern, for instance, and you're not going to get that, you'll be probably a little bit disappointed when it comes to overall look of the image. But like I said, if you're used to shooting with film, if you're used to using some of the legacy Leica M mount lenses, you'll be very happy to see that you got basically the same rendering and same image quality coming out from ArtraLab Similar 35mm f1.4. So this is my short review of ArtraLab's Similar 35mm f1.4 for Leica M mount cameras. What do I think of it? Do I recommend it? Hey, yes, of course. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, vintage 35-144 Leica M mount cameras, whether for film or digital. I think it is very good. It compares favorably well with the original Leica version when it comes to optical performance. It's definitely better than Voigtlander 35mm 1.4 VM, and also better than some of the other Chinese versions I've tested so far. It's really, really that good, and for the price, you are not going to go wrong with it because of the construction, all the accessories that are included with it, everything, the overall build and look and feel is just so good that to remember all those 1960 and 1970 Leica vintage lenses. So overall, I would say, get it. Really that simple. I love it. You can adapt, of course, you know, any sort of M mount lenses on modern digital camera. I've tried it on my OM system cameras. I also mounted on my Leica film and also digital, together with my APS-C Epson RD1 and also my Nikon ZF full frame camera as well. It's very easy with M mount lenses these days. All you need is just a very cheap adapter you get on the Amazon, for instance. You know, you can mount it on literally any camera to date, and you can get the look and you can get the feel of it as well. And for a 35mm 1.4 lens. If you haven't used one of these before, you'll be very surprised how small it actually is. So that's it, folks. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and like my images for Malaga. If you do, give me a like. If you haven't, well, give me a like as well. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so. I will see you all very soon, and stay tuned for my other M-mount lenses, because I got a few that I personally own and bought from Japan earlier this year. Like the Voigtlander 28mm Nocturne. That's very good as well. I'll see you all very soon. Until next time, bye for now. Peace out. Welcome to the bonus section. Yes, I really enjoy the ArtraLab Similar 35mm f1.4. It's a magnificent lens. You know, it really reminds me of my pre-spherical semi-lux that I had on my M6. That lens is practically glued to my M6 camera because I like the look of it, and match it up with the film stock that I have. It just really gives me that vintage look that I'm going out for if I should film. Although, like I said, I haven't done it for quite a while already, so I kind of missed that. But the Similar lens really gives me that feel once again on my digital M. It got the same look, got the same kind of rendering. It just, everything looks so cool. I love it. I love it. But also at the same time, you know, I'm shooting with the older method. I don't use ND filter, trying to open up the aperture to 1.4 to shoot everything. With a rangefinder, my eyesight is not very good these days without having to use the EVF or use some sort of peaking or focus assist and things like that. It's very, very hard to get a really critical sharpness if I do want to open up to shoot 1.4 f2. So most of the time I just shoot basically f8, f11 together, because I have a limitation on my Leica M as well, 1/4000th of a second mechanical shutter speed. You know, so you can't do too much with a bright sunny day like this. And overall, I will have to stop the lens down to f4 to f5.6 anyway to get anywhere close to perfect exposure. So overall, I will still have to stop it down. So I don't mind, because, you know, hyperfocus is the name of the game on street photography, right? So I don't mind shooting with f8, f11 most of the time when I'm Malaga, and I do get some great shots. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's images that I display, and I do try to do some more in London. And overall, I would have a lot more vintage or vintage inspired Leica M lenses coming out, like the Voigtlander already mentioned, the 28mm f1.5 VM, and I also have another one, the Typok 28mm f1.4 coming to my collection as well. So yeah, overall you're going to see a couple of Leica M lenses review that you may be seeing over time. So until next time though, I'll see you all very soon. Remember to give me a like, and I'll see you all. Have a good day shooting everywhere. Enjoy myself now on the sun with the kids. Bye for now.